Good morning, class. Today, I welcome you back to this edition of Print Culture and the Modern World. This is Miss Khyati Dwarkadas. Last time, you had studied about India and the world of print, how print came to India, how were the manuscripts written, James Augustus Hickey and the Bengal Gazette. Today, we are going to learn about religious reforms and public debates. We will cover what issues were in India on religion, how print affected these debates, what was printed by reformers and how it was countered, what was the fear of Muslims in North India and what did they do to tackle it, what the Hindu society printed, what was print bringing, what feelings was print bringing of unity among the Indians. In the 19th century, we will cover what was written in print about women, how print depicted their lives, what did women write, what hindrances did they face from society, what story of Rash Sundari Devi did we know, who else wrote and what were their experiences, what all women's topics were highlighted by Hindi prints, and whatever was being written all over India. So there are so many subtopics which we shall cover in a nutshell. Now I remember from the beginning of this chapter, we've been working on small pieces of this mind map. And now, I think today, you're left only with this little small part over here, religious reform and public debate, new forms of publication. If time permits, and if you have any inclination left in you, feel free to do print and censorship. If at all you think it's being a bit too much to write, don't worry, we still have one more class when you can write. So you will write about religious reform and public debate from that one box and new forms of publication from another box. That is it. When we talk about religious reform and public debate, children, we need to know that from the early 19th century, intense debates around religious issues have been going on. These debates were carried out in public and in print. A wider public could now participate in these public discussions and express their views. New ideas emerged through these clashes of opinion. This was a time of intense controversies between social and religious reformers and the Hindu orthodoxy over matters like widow emulation, what we call sati, monotheism, one god, Brahmanical priesthood and idolatry. So among some of the most important reformers, we have Raja Ram Mohan Roy, whose image you do see here. In Bengal, as the debates developed, tracts and newspapers proliferated, circulating a variety of arguments. Raja Ram Mohan Roy published the Sambad Kaumudi. Now, wherever I have put these little emojis, I would like you to remember the words with the spellings. So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Sambad Kaumudi, and the year. 3 things for you to remember in that one line. and the Hindu Orthodoxy commissioned the Samachar Chandrika, another word to remember, Samachar Chandrika, to oppose the opinions of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. In North India, the ulamas, one more term for you, the ulamas were deeply anxious about the collapse of the Muslim dynasties. They feared that colonial rulers would encourage conversion, change the Muslim personal laws. The Deoband Seminary, founded in 1867, published thousands upon thousands of fatwas telling Muslim readers how to conduct themselves in their everyday lives and explaining the meaning of Islamic doctrines. Now coming to ulamas, they were legal scholars of Islam and the Sharia, a body of Islamic law. And the Deoband Seminary, which published these fatwas, fatwas are legal pronouncements on Islamic law, usually given by a mufti, a legal scholar, to clarify issues on which the law is uncertain. So here I am just showing you a little in depth about the ulamas. They feared how the colonial rulers would encourage conversion, change Muslim personal law. To counter this, they used cheap lithographic or lithographic press, published Persian and Urdu translations of holy scriptures, printed religious newspapers and tracts. The Deoband Seminary published fatwas telling the Muslim readers how to conduct themselves in everyday life, explaining the meaning of Islamic doctrines. Now, the first printed edition of the Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas, a 16th edition text, came from Calcutta in 1810. By mid-19th century, cheap lithographic editions flooded North Indian markets. From 1880s, the Nawal Kishore Press at Lucknow and Sri Venkateshwar Press in Bombay published numerous religious texts in vernacular languages. In their printed and portable form, these could be read easily by the faithful at any place and time. They could also be read out to large groups of illiterate men and women. Religious texts, therefore, reached a wide variety of people, encouraging discussion, debate, controversies within and among different religious groups. Print did not only stimulate the publication of conflicting opinions amongst communities, but also connected communities among people in different parts of India. Newspapers conveyed news from one place to another, creating pan-Indian identities. Now I would like you to open your textbooks to page 170, 170. There is a source box, source D for Delhi, and it's called Why Newspapers. It's about Krishnajit Rambag Ranade, an inhabitant of Pune and Marathi language. So the entire source I want you to go through in detail from your textbook, page 170. Then we come to the next unit, which is new forms of publication. As more people started reading, that developed a demand of new types of writing styles and literature in that period. Novels were in great demand and lyrics, short stories, essays about social and political matters were written. By the end of the 19th century, a new visual culture started taking shape. And in that, we have a very, very great painter of our country, Raja Ravi Verma. So, Raja Ritudhwaj rescued Princess Madalsa from the captivity of the demons. The print is by Raja Ravi Verma. Raja Ravi Verma produced innumerable mythological paintings that were printed at the Ravi Verma press. If I can, in one of the slides, I will show you that picture. So, Raja Ravi Verma produced visual images for mass circulation. Cheap prints and calendars were easily available for poor people. It played a vital role to reshape new ideas. By that time, newspapers and journals started publishing cartoons and caricatures dealing with various topics. Some caricatures ridiculed the educated Indians' fascination with Western taste and clothes, while others expressed the fear of social change. There were imperial caricatures lampooning nationalists, as well as nationalist cartoons criticizing imperial rule. One such caricature is given to you on this image. Now, I told you in the previous screen, Raja Ravi Verma and that painting. It's figure 17 in your textbook on page 171 that I have on your screen right now. Poor wood engravers who would make wood blocks set up shop near the letter presses and were employed by print shops. Cheap prints and calendars were easily available in the bazaar and could be bought even by the poor to decorate the walls of their homes and workplaces. These prints began shaping popular ideas about the modernity and tradition, religion and politics. Now, when you talk about women and print, women played a very, very major role in the entire idea of print. Women couldn't keep themselves away from reading. They not only started reading, but they also wrote. Not everyone had easy access to books. Liberal fathers and husbands allowed them to go to school and read. Many journals were written during that time were by women, and they tried to convince society that women could be educated. Conservative Hindus and Muslims did not allow women to read. Hindus thought that if women would read, they would be widowed, and Muslims thought that women would be spoiled and corrupted. Many rebel women defied that by not only reading but started writing. Raj Sundari Devi is one of the examples. She wrote Amar Juban, a first autobiography in Bengali language. Some of the prominent women writers from the period are Kailash Bhashini Devi, Tarabai Shinde, Pandita Ramabai. They discussed issues like women education, widowhood, widow remarriage, the national movement. Some publications started showing traditional image of women. Ram Chadda in his book Istri Dharma Vichar and the Khalsa Tract Society published cheap booklets with the same message. In Bengal too, the entire area in central Calcutta, the Batala, was devoted to the printing of popular books. Now there is this very, very important source box, source E in your textbook, page 172. The lady Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain of 1926. So Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain, a noted educationist, a literary figure, started schools for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta. She was a fearless critic of conservative ideas, arguing that religious leaders of every faith accorded an inferior place to women. In 1926, Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain strongly condemned men for withholding education from women in the name of religion as she addressed the Bengal Women's Education Conference. Please feel free to read this on page 172. Now, I told you Raj Sundari Devi wrote the Amar Juban. She is among the earliest women writers in Bengali literature. Her autobiography, Amar Juban or My Life, is known as the first published autobiography in Bengali language. Written in chaste Bangla, that's pure Bangla, Amar Juban narrates the life story of a 19th century women's struggle for literacy. It portrays the changing world of rural Bengal and situates women there. This brings us to Pandita Ramabai. She was a great scholar of Sanskrit and felt that Hinduism was oppressive towards women and wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. She founded a widow's home at Pune to provide shelter to the widows who had been treated badly by their husbands' relatives. Here, women were trained so that they could support themselves economically. She presented the unique case of an indomitable individualist and committed social reformer fighting for women's emancipation in the later 18th century and early 19th century. In honor of Pandita Ramabai's contribution, a postage stamp was released in 1989. Well, to show you the images of Pandita Ramabai, I have actually covered the... Moving to print and the poor people, that's obviously Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So from the 19th century, cheap and small books were circulated in the market so that poor people could buy that. Libraries were opened in towns and cities. Caste issues was widely discussed through print during the time. Mahatma Jyotirao Phule wrote about the caste system in his book Gulamgiri. So Gulamgiri, once again you can see the emoji there. It means to be learned by heart, soul and memory. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Dr. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar Periyar wrote about the caste system. They were widely read and by the people. They emphasized on a new and just social structure through journals and tracts. This brings us to Kashi Baba. Kashi Baba was a mill worker from Kanpur. He wrote and published Chote aur Bade Ka Sawal in 1938 to show the links between caste and class exploitation. Once again, you see the emojis there. The poems of another Kanpur mill worker who wrote under the pen name of Sudarshan Chakra between 1935 and 55 were brought together and published in a collection called Sachi Kavitaएं. By the 1930s, Bangalore cotton mill workers set up libraries to educate themselves, following the example of Bombay workers. So, too many names to learn. On page 174, there's an activity for you to do. Page 174 of the textbook has an activity for you to do. I would like you to do that activity in your notebook. There's a quiz time here, like always. I try and make some questions or I try and connect you with the Diksha app right now. So please connect to the link here. I will put it in the description box. Please do the quiz and know your result. Thank you. Until we meet again, have a nice day.